Walking through the door of this old and lonely place that used to feel like us. Remembering the only thing that made me feel like I was worth the love. We used to hold hands, now I dance alone. We had Springsteen playing so loud. We danced in the dark till it felt like home. With you, home was anywhere. But you will never be left behind. Give me a moment, I need just a little more time. If I could, I would have made things right. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love. Never apart, you're still running through my blood. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love. We can't go back to the way that we used to be. Talking through the night, you were laying by my side. You were always there to heal my scars. And into the dawn, I do my best to try and find some sleep, but you still keep me up. We used to hold hands, now I dance alone. We had Springsteen playing so loud. We danced in the dark till it felt like home. With you, home was anywhere. But you will never be left behind. Give me a moment, I need just a little more time. If I could, I would have made things right. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love. Never apart, you're still running through my blood. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love. But we can't go back to the way that we used to. But I can't escape, you're still in my head. I'm running from the emptiness. But I can't escape, you're still in my head. I'm running from the emptiness. But I can't escape, you're still in my head. Oh, I'm running from the emptiness. But I can't escape, you're still in my head. Oh, I'm running from the emptiness. But we can't go back to the way that we used to love.
Would you frost those windows right there? Yeah, talk to you about it.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone in the room. Good morning, everyone on Zoom. Hope
Good
every
morning.
great day so far. Happy there's some people in the room. I always say we're prettier and funnier live. So we are here if you want to come in. We have Scott, one of our new agents from John L. Scott. Welcome. I love it. All right, Austin, what do we have on the calendar?
All right, so pulling up the, you guys all see that, I think? Yeah, okay. So pulling up the homepage, we got Ignite's continuing to go on. We had Kim yesterday, it was great. We had a lot of good participation and a lot of good feedback. Going on to later today, we're doing starting today and then going through, what is it, October, for the Mega Camp Watch Party, you know, what day, like mid-October. somewhere?
Yeah, the last one is October
Did I put it?
2019.
19th. So we're doing a mega camp watch party every Tuesday at 1. Just to give you guys a recap of a lot of some good videos from mega camp. And so we're going to be hosting that here and on Zoom. So you're more than welcome to jump in at that time to get some good glimpses of what you missed. And then we do have Ignite tomorrow with Jenny Hill. She's going to be doing Marketing Your Value. This is what she does often. So it's a strength of hers. She loves doing this one. Jenny's great, highly recommends.
Does she love doing it, or do we love her doing it?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Jenny is amazing at marketing. That is her background before getting into real estate. So, and again, it's not just for new agents, it's for any agents wanting to grow their business. Just hear what Jenny has to say. And that goes for all of our Ignite sessions. If you just want to hear what our top agents have to say about the different topics, please join us. And again, those are in this room or on Zoom also.
Yes. And then just going on for the rest of the week, I am doing a command class about networking and referrals tomorrow. Just going into that segment of command. It's one that's not touched very often. So I think it'll be good if you haven't looked at it and want to learn more of how it's used, jump on into that meeting. And then let's see.
And then wait, not next week's meeting, but the following week's meeting, Tuesday, the 28th, we are going to have a special team meeting. So hopefully all of you guys can attend. It is at Contract Furnishings Mart, which is right down the road in Tiger. I was like, where is it technically? Right on 72nd. And they have a big showroom and has like flooring, tile, countertops, everything there. And normally just contractors can shop there. So like if you're having tile installed, that's where you can go pick it out, but only the contractors can have the authorization to purchase there. So Dwight has been able to negotiate some special discounts there for us. So not only are we able to purchase there now as agents and our clients, but he has negotiated some extra discounts for us. So we're going to find out more information about that. We're going to go on a showroom tour. And we always get a lot of questions about, people want to know about different types of wood or different types of stone and materials. So it's just a great opportunity to go check out their showroom, spend some time there looking at the different materials if you want to, and find out about the discounts that are available to both you and your clients, which can be a really, really great discount. So that's exciting. So meet there, 10 a.m. Tuesday, the 28th. See you there? See you there?
Yeah, and we'll put a little reminder on Facebook and in the newsletters and whatnot, and then we'll be on the calendar as well as like a saved date for that meeting.
No Zoom.
No
You have
Zoom.
to be there live. So we'll probably do some kind of like refreshments or something, figure that out. So awesome. Thanks, Austin.
Yeah.
Chad, we have Chad from Academy Mortgage on. Thanks for joining us, Chad.
Hello. Hello.
What is going on in lending?
Yeah, it's good to be here. Austin, I think you mentioned you got that image available for me to share with everyone.
There you go.
Can you believe it?
Great. So I wanted to just give a quick kind of 30 to 45 day market snapshot update. So you kind of have an idea of what's going on in the general mortgage interest rate marketplace as you engage with your clients. And what you're looking at, you'll notice between the blue line, you hopefully can see the blue line and the orange line. And if you look at the top, you'll see that the orange line represents the 100-day moving average, and the blue line represents the 200-day moving average. And then these pretty red and green bars that we're following across the middle are kind of, they're going up and down, but the pattern is we're just going sideways, okay? And what we're seeing in the marketplace is that we're just kind of bouncing along, and this entire visual tool represents the Fannie Mae 2% coupon that's being traded on the mortgage-backed securities market. And so what we get out of reading this is simply that the market is kind of feeling, the general market is feeling, the mortgage-backed securities market is feeling good, kind of about where the rates are at right now. And there hasn't been a lot of technical economic information to drive the market higher or lower. And so we're just bouncing along in this range, depending on what your client's needs are. You know, the 30-year fixed is hanging out somewhere in between a low of 2.75 up to, let's say, 3.375, just depending on credit score, down payment, if they're buying the rate down a little bit, that kind of thing. What we are anticipating going forward in the coming month is you'll notice how very slowly the orange and the blue line are coming together. And so eventually there's going to be a market converging if it continues in this sideways pattern. And so the market will then have to decide, are we going to break above the 200-day moving average, or are we going to go back down below the 100-day moving average? And when that happens, then the markets will begin to dictate to us where interest rates potentially might start going. Because if we break above, that means interest rates will improve. If we break below, interest rates may potentially begin to worsen. So enough of that exciting technical data. The big news that came out yesterday is, and that the market is trying to digest, is the Consumer Price Index. And this is a measure of inflation. And the big news of what came out was simply that for the first time in the last 8 months, the reading was below expectations, which means inflation has kind of paused in the marketplace. And year over year, it was actually down a tiny bit as well. That is good news for us in the marketplace of real estate, because that tells us that the economy hopefully is settling just a little bit in regards to all the inflationary impact that we've been seeing. Costs of home, cost of goods, cost of food, costs of cars, everything has been going up coming out of COVID. Now with that reading being down just a little bit year over year and month over month, we're hoping, and the market is hoping, that this is kind of a checkpoint where it's like, okay, we're pausing, it's actually down a little bit. Hopefully we're not going up anymore. That would be a good sign for interest rates to not be influenced to go higher in the coming half year. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that and provide additional data to you in the coming months as we get those readings and know more about that. Last thing I'll leave you with, I know that Josh has spoken about these two products, but I'm going to remind you of them again, because they're great conversation starters for your clients. They're easy. These are easy wins for you to call your relationships and engage with them and just have a conversation, but not come off like you're trying to, hey, give me a deal, or do you know anybody? It's a great way to say, hey, I want to share with you this great loan product that I have, that I know my lender has access to, that could potentially help someone that you know or help you yourself. The first one is the investor product. Home values have gone up in the Portland metro area upwards of 20, 30, 40%, depending on where you are over the last 5 years. If you have past clients, they are your best clients. They have equity sitting in their homes. We have our investor product through our portfolio vendor. It's 10% down to get a rental property. No mortgage insurance. The last one that I quoted was 3.375 on a 30-year fixed note. It is a phenomenal product, and it's a great way for somebody to diversify their portfolio, build their asset portfolio. 10% down. It's an easy conversation starter to share with your best past clients or people that you have great relationships with. And it's not coming off in a way that it's like, I'm pushing this on you. It's like, I want to share this with you because this could be an opportunity for you to diversify and grow your asset portfolio. The other one is the 3.5% down payment assistance program. And if we pair it with the FHA loan program, minimum of 640 credit score, there's no payment on the second. And so effectively what it ends up doing is it creates almost 100% type of loan product for the client. It allows them to get into the market if they are wanting to buy, and a down payment or credit challenges have been a limitation for them. It's a phenomenal product. It's an easy conversation starter for first-time home buyers or people who've maybe been struggling. Because it does allow the lower credit score or they've had past credit challenges, we can pair it with FHA and hopefully overcome some of those challenges that they have had. We'll stop there. Thank you very much, team.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. That's the product with the 10% down for investment properties is awesome. No mortgage insurance. So sounds amazing. I love it. Thank you for being here. Okay, I want to talk about our postcards. Who sent out these postcards? Anyone? So we have these postcards in Austin's office that have the 10 reasons to buy and sell this fall on here. And you guys can come get them and send them out to your clients. We have them available in jumbo size and regular size. You can write on the back, print on the back, and come see Austin. It'll only be fall for another month and a half, 2 months, 3 months.
It'll only be applicable.
Right, to send out to your clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stop by Austin's office and get a stack. You want to read them off?
Yeah, no. So actually, let me think. I might be able to.
No, I'll read them. We'll read them really quick because they are good reasons. We went through all of them, but we'll read them real quick. Top 10 reasons to list and sell your property this fall. Potential tax code changes that could significantly impact your bottom line. The highest property values in history. Record-breaking low interest rates. Less inventory to compete against due to seasonality. Buyers and sellers have adapted to transacting despite COVID. Fall is Oregon's most spectacular season, and this market is not guaranteed to continue into next year. So here they are. Austin also made Instagram graphics for you guys to use, and Facebook, any social media. So those are available on the agent website.
Yeah, so if you go into the agent website, you'll actually see a top tab that says marketing. It's right in the middle, and it has these right here, similar to what just what she read, as well as other ones that kind of go in a slide form. There's a light version like this, and there's a dark version if that's your style. So you can pick one you want, and then have it be either a one-time post or make it a kind of a series that you have throughout the week, depending on what your tactic is for marketing on your page.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, we have a special guest, our very own John DeCosta today. Hi, John.
So that's the mute button, huh?
Oh, yes. Wait, so for those of you that don't know John is one of our agents who has been with us for a very long time. He hasn't been coming in during COVID, but he knows a ton about the economy, about the Portland area market, all kinds of stuff, right, John?
I'm a pretty curious guy, yes.
So today he's going to talk to us specifically about forbearance and how we can speak to our customers and clients and use that kind of to our advantage as far as helping our clients. So take it away, John, and let Austin know what you need as far as slides.
Not much slides. I think today in our discussion, I will develop a series of links that I will send to everybody later today. I'm talking today about urgency because none of our clients do anything without some urgency. So Corinne said, nothing is guaranteed moving forward, reasons to list your house this fall. And that's absolutely correct. because almost everything today is unprecedented. And I'll review a couple things. Foreclosures today are at the lowest level in 20 years. 20 years goes back to 2001. We had a gigantic recession where we believe half the United States homeowners were in foreclosure. Okay, remember that? For those people that remember 2007 and 2008. Foreclosures today are at the lowest ever. Why? Well, because we have forbearance. So you don't get foreclosed when the bank is not even trying to collect the monthly. So lowest in 20 years is a very important thing because it's going to change. Everybody that's following, to some, this might be a new topic, but forbearance is a program that came out of the CARES Act of 2020 by the government. The CFPB said because of COVID, people are going to have trouble with their mortgages. They encouraged the banks to not require people to pay. And when the COVID finally gets settled, we'll all go back to something near normal. Okay, we're getting close to something near normal. I want to tell you a couple of things back to the nothing is guaranteed. In the background, as we talk in this area, inflation, and is Chad still on? I see if he's there, I'm going to bounce some stuff off because he's a lender. Inflation right now, the government's telling us it's 3%. There's Chad. The government's telling us that we have just increased inflation and it got up to 3%. This last week, it trended down, and that's good news. The bad news is if the definition of inflation was the same as in 1980, inflation today is 10%. So inflation today is at 3% because they changed the definition of what is inflation. So just be mindful that it's a little bit more than it might be, okay?
Well, wait, can you explain that? How did they change it?
The definition keeps changing because it's a political measurement. Chad, is that pretty much right?
I would concur. Yes, John.
Did
Yes.
anybody gas up their car today with the 3% more than last year gas? And did your house go up 3%? No. Did your rent go up 3%? No. Did college tuition go up 3%? No. So something went up 3%, but just be mindful that when you're trusting the government, trust but verify, I think was said one time, it's probably good. So we're in an area of lots of uncertainty, and we're going to talk about today. The other thing is, and when you're talking about uncertainty, the year 2000 was an interesting year. It's the first year our government went over $1 trillion in debt. We're now at 29 trillion in debt. That's not 3% either. So these are be mindful that things can change at a rate today that is unprecedented. You know what I'm saying? That Chad's got mortgages now at 2.7 for the realtors and all the other highly qualified people. But we could blink and they could be at 3.5. We've got to be prepared for all these changes because they're changing at a rapid level. Okay, forbearance is probably the biggest thing, and I'm going to lean on Chad here. You place loans with how many different, I guess, servicers or mortgage people?
Yeah, good question, John. With Academy, we've probably got about 60 different relationships that we utilize.
And you have some people in forbearance in your world.
We do. We do.
And the 60 lenders have how many different, you're in forbearance, here's your options. It's probably
Correct.
60 different programs.
Correct. Yeah.
Anybody in the audience feeling better right now? When a client is dealing with you, you're the expert, they're in forbearance, and they say, what's my options? it's almost an unlimited number of things to do, but Chad and I are going to advise you, talk to your servicer. Because if you're in forbearance, it means at some point you have made a decision to go into the world of forbearance. And there's a good way to be in forbearance, and that is if your mortgage payments were totally up to date until you went into forbearance. The government has guaranteed those lenders, they do not have to report you as being late. You're in forbearance, but you entered forbearance fully up to date on your payments. That's good. Then you have all your options. The second group are people that got more than 30 days behind and then went into forbearance. These people have many, many less options. And they have a group of surprises that are not pleasant. And that is, if you're 30 days late, the credit bureaus were under an obligation, whether they did it or not, depends upon your lender. But they had an obligation to turn you in as 30 days late. Chad, is that coming up around the office as a big issue?
Yes and no. I think what I would adhere to, John, is what you said. Every servicer is treating the CARES Act a little differently within the guidelines of what they are allowed to do or not allowed to do. And so it is reflecting differently on each person's situation. I just put in the chat box, typically what happens more than anything is the full balance is due when they sell or try to refinance. You're not able to do anything. If you have back owed interest and back owed payments, that has to be accounted for at some point.
Exactly. And there's 4 ways they can handle the arrears. They call it arrears. You missed some payments. Obviously, you could write them a check and then just make your old payments. Life goes on. Your credit score is intact. If you never got more than 30 days late, they forgave $50,000 worth of payments. You wrote a check for $50,000. That's the easiest solution on everybody. That's not a real easy solution on the borrowers, okay? So the next thing is they can give you a second. They can take the arrears and turn it into a second lien. So then you go back and make your first, and then the second you make an additional payment. And some of the lenders are using this method. It's a little awkward because second mortgages, Chad, that's not exactly paper you wish to create. So those people, some lenders are doing that, and they're doing that so they can sell those seconds off and just take their old mortgage back and get back on track. There's a thing called modifications. And I know, Chad, you're probably going to deal with modifications in the next quarter. Modification is a conversation between you and your lender. The federal people have guidelines, the credit score people have guidelines, but a modification is essentially a restatement of your mortgage. They say, what's your current credit score? Well, you don't know what your current credit score is. And Chad, are you running credit scores on lots of people in addition to just pre-approvals?
We do. We do.
You're going to need to know your credit score. So this is where I'm advising you guys is how do we create urgency with your clients so that they list their house with you and go buy a new house, and the forbearance doesn't become a barrier, because forbearance was really a nice thing to do. Why did they do the forbearance? The basic reason we were able to do forbearance is money is so cheap today that if you don't pay your bank, the bank doesn't really care because they can borrow money at the Fed window for almost zero. If interest rates were 15% today, I will guarantee you there would not have been a forbearance proposal because the banks would have all gone under. So the cheap money, and that's where they keep printing more of it, cheap money gives us some options, okay? So working with your lender, and hopefully it's Chad, get a credit score by engaging with Chad and saying, run a current credit score. That number hopefully will be a good story. If it's a bad story, then you have to go into credit cure immediately. Because when you talk to your bank, the bank can do anything they want to do with your loan, except if they've sold it to somebody who's going to be strict. Okay, then you're limited options. You see what I'm saying? Forbearance, you have options. How many? Depends. But if you know your credit score and you know your current income and you know your job prospects, you renegotiate under the modification and you end up with a brand new loan. And many banks are dropping the interest rates down to 2% and below that, just to make sure, given what you currently make, you can make the payments. Okay. But in the fact that we have the lowest foreclosures in 20 years, and it's probably many more than 20, but at least the last 20, that's going to change. We're going to have people that didn't make their payments, are not able to do a modification. They're going to need to sell their house. The great news for everybody on my screen is almost everybody you talk to has equity in their house. When houses are going up 18 and 20% and the mortgages are at 3%, almost everybody you're sitting down with becomes a real candidate for a positive sales experience. I don't know of anybody who's attending night classes on short sales right now. Short sales were nasty, difficult way for realtors to help their clients. We're not talking short sales. We're talking people that can sell their house today, pay their mortgage off, get a new loan from Chad and move down the road, maybe to a more expensive house. But forbearance is just a little new wrinkle. And does anybody on the screen have a client that's contacted them and said, I'm in forbearance, what do I do? See, it hasn't started yet. You know, the deadline is just up. I'm not seeing anybody that's currently talking to somebody about forbearance because it went away August 31st. And in Oregon, Governor Kate wants forbearance to go to January 1st. So we still haven't, you know, it's a hot potato issue, but it's not the hot potato issue with a deadline quite yet. But
So you're saying probably in the next few months, we'll start to feel the impacts of that more. So we should start having those conversations with our clients now.
Well, I always recommend what you say, Corinne, reach out to your people. The people you sold to 3 years ago, you know, when you're dialing the phone, when you're engaged with someone who knows you and has bought a house from you, you're going to be a successful realtor. But the word is forbearance. You know, they're going to say, look, John, I've got to be honest. I haven't made a house payment in 12 months. Am I in trouble?
Say, great news. You have equity in your house.
There
Let's
you
sell it.
go. When somebody says, I'm in forbearance, I'm sorry to even tell you that. It's not a problem. It's really not a problem. And we have to be careful, though. We are not attorneys, we're not CPAs, and we're not mortgage counselors. So I'm going to send you guys links for what are the videos and information the feds want the clients to know. I want to refer you to sources of information rather than having our agents on the phone going, let me tell you all about forbearance. I sat through a Zoom class with that crazy Professor DeCosta. No, you just need to provide them the links to the information and you need to guide them to their lender. But I think you can lock people in. So anybody have a desire to call somebody and say, let's talk about forbearance. Let's, anybody speak up or throw their hand up in the air? Who's going to make a call about this subject?
Anyone? Hopefully everyone, right?
I see somebody named Rochelle. Has anybody talked to you about forbearance, or I'm going to list my house, but I don't want to do it now?
No, I haven't had any questions yet about forbearance. I've also helped a lot of first-time home buyers, and this is my third year. So
okay,
I don't have a lot of seasoned clients yet either.
Okay. But things will come up, and what we try to do at KWPP is make sure that these topics aren't a surprise to you. Get you some information before you're sitting in somebody's kitchen table and they say forbearance and you go, oh, I heard about it. I don't know much about it. We will provide you some links and they can look it up, and it'll make them feel better, because actually I've got some clients that haven't made a payment in a while and they're kind of nervous about it. It's just a little queasy. And I think it'll all work. But in the background, we have a world where things are spinning kind of crazy. I mean, you turn on the news at night and it's not like the old days. So be prepared, always go for the urgency, send them back to their bank to get exactly what their bank is offering.
And then can I pause you for a quick sec? I think I saw Chad posted some stuff in the chat. Chad.
Oh, he just
jumped off. Okay, Austin, read what he posted in the chat.
Yeah, no, he just, it was a little while ago. So like, he was just referring to what you were saying earlier, John, that servicers will not fault your credit score when under forbearance during the CARES Act. And then the biggest key is to make sure that your client, if they are in forbearance, we need to understand that what they owe and how it may or may not affect their ability to sell and or their net proceeds going forward to buy a home.
Okay.
Exactly. And the good news, Austin, is these interest rates are so low, it's not like back in 07 and 08 where you got underwater real quickly. For those that were around in 1982, interest rates were 16%. Yikes. Today they're 3%. So it's a nice glide pattern, but I want to make sure that the word forbearance doesn't scare you, that you guys get some nice resources to look over yourself. Do not portray yourself as an expert at forbearance, for the simple reason the government has put out guidelines. There's no rules what a bank can do and what another bank can't do, but just tell your people to be careful with their money. Do not get behind on your payments. That's the scary thing for a homeowner. If you do a modification and then you miss a payment or two, you will have an adverse credit score. So, and if you went into forbearance up to date, then all the options are available, should not be a big deal. If you were 6 months late when you went into forbearance, try to get that 6 months paid off so that, again, you can glide through forbearance nicely. It's all good. When you sell their house, they're going to have money, and Chad will get you a loan at 2.73%. So you can buy another house. So this is not a big worry, but we just want our people being knowledgeable. And I've got a guy on the screen here, the two scenarios: were you late when you entered or were you current? That's important. And it gets down to confusion. When you're confused, you make bad decisions. So we want your people talking to their lender well ahead, and they're going to appreciate that, and their attorney's going to appreciate it, and their CPA is going to appreciate it. Again, by the way, next April, when they file their taxes, you're going to have a thing in the mail that said you didn't pay on your mortgage last year, and the CPA is going to go, well, what are we going to put on the tax form? So this involves all of their. Do you know that most people have a doctor, an attorney, a CPA, and a realtor? Those are the professional helpers. It's a good time for you to brush up your game in this area, because when they do file taxes, you're likely to get a phone call. And the good news is, hopefully they call you. Hopefully a lot of people call you. So that's kind of the topics today. I'll go over just a couple of notes. Applying for pre-approval, even if you're not thinking, if the client's not thinking of selling right now, call Chad and try to get pre-approved for a new loan, and then take a look at your credit score and everything. It's good information, doesn't cost them anything. Loan modification is a formal process that will take you from your old loan to a brand new loan. You'll likely get a new loan number. So if you're in forbearance, you do a modification, then you have a new loan. You're no longer in forbearance. You're no longer late. Everything's forgiven. but don't miss payments. Missing payments really takes your options away. And a couple of things, renters miss payments. Okay. Guy's renting comes to you and says, I want to buy a house. And you go, let's get you pre-approved. Chad goes, hey, John, those people haven't made a rent payment in 18 months. I can't get them a loan. They have to come up with the 18 months rent before the lender can move them toward a purchase. I guarantee you, if you're a year late on your rent, there's not many lenders that are going to view you as a prime candidate. So that's something to take care of. And with, by the way, today, I think it's fair to tell people, if you have a house and you wish to rent it, the cost to rent will be higher than the cost to purchase it. With interest rates this low, most of the landlords are charging more for rent than an actual owner would pay. What's the dirty little secret? Well, you have to put 20% down. A renter doesn't put anything down. But if the house is $3,000 a month to rent, you could probably buy it, and the landlord is probably paying less than that $3,000. So those are kind of the topics. So don't be afraid of forbearance. And the other thing is, kind of tell your people, your lender will not be real responsive. So be very kind on your expectations. The banks are not prepared for what's coming. 14 million people are in forbearance. I can guarantee you our banking system does not have the staff to negotiate 14 million unique situations. So get started early. That's just kind of a recommendation. I will get to Corinne some nice links for the people that have the information about forbearance, and don't be scared.
I love it, John. No, thank you so much. I think that's a really important message, is to talk about forbearance, not be afraid of it, and bring it up proactively with your clients, and just, or even do an email blast of like, anyone in forbearance thinking about selling, like, let's talk now. Let's talk about your options, right? And that's a great, think of it as a good thing, right? They need you. You can provide more value that way. So any questions? Oh, go ahead. Is there any questions from anyone on Zoom or in the room on forbearance or anything else that John talked about?
It's a way to reach out and create some urgency. That's all I'm saying is you need to call everybody to keep your lead generating. It's just a subject that's going to come up. And right now it's a quiet subject. But when the Oregonian puts on the front page, forbearance is over, then be prepared. Don't if you reach out now, you're an expert. If you reach out after there's somebody in crisis, that's not special.
Okay, cool. And then there is some question. Can you help elaborate on this? So it ended nationwide on August 31st, but then it didn't really in Oregon. Is that right?
That's the problem. There's no standards. I'm familiar with a few banks, and their forbearance was wonderful. I mean, it was, multimillionaires got forbearance. Did they ever miss a payment? No. Did they need forbearance? No. But if your bank says you don't have to pay during COVID, we're not going to charge you interest, we're not going to ding your credit score, who wouldn't say yes? And a lot of my clients were in forbearance, and now they're just going to pick up their payments. I'll tell you something. My house was in forbearance because my bank reached out and said, you don't have to make a payment until we tell you. Then they called, 30 days ago, said, we're going to start the payments up. We're going to add what you didn't pay. No, I guess it was like 3 months ago. They added it to the end of my mortgage.
So are you finding that lenders are reaching out? It just depends on the lender, or is there like a drop dead date?
My particular situation, I bank with First Republic. They're a very special bank. And I didn't know what forbearance was. They actually emailed me saying, please sign here. don't make a payment until we tell you, and I did. And my house was in forbearance. I never missed a payment. I have enough money in the bank to pay for my house, but I didn't have to make my monthly payments. And then I got out of forbearance. It was absolutely harmless, but that's First Republic. I don't think Wells Fargo and Chase and those national banks that sold their loans are going to have the flexibility of, you know, one of the boutique banks. But we'll see, you know, let's make a plan for about 90 days from now when we have our next visit, see if forbearance is a big darn deal.
Okay, so it sounds like right now it's just everything's kind of up in the air, right? Like
If your bank says, don't make a payment until we tell you, get it in writing. But if your bank sends you a thing saying you have 30 days to pay $48,000 or we're foreclosing, here shortly, that may be an option for some of the banks.
Okay, so we want to get ahead of it, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
a
not
weird
like,
deal.
it's kind of an ambiguous answer, but I think it's kind of an ambiguous situation right now, depending on the banks and where you're at and what happens. So
Do you notice, I'll make a comment, guys. Do you notice your loans, your purchase loans today are going pretty smooth? Appraisers are getting out there, the underwriter. I'm closing deals in 30 days, you know, without any, you know, that's 30 days. It's just easy to do. Okay, let's say 4 million people start negotiating with their bank over their forbearance. They're exiting from forbearance. Who's going to process those? There's nobody at the bank that's a forbearance expert. So that will be when it becomes a bigger topic for us.
yeah. Austin, will you read some of those other comments in the chat?
Oh yeah, no, it's just a lot of appreciation.
Oh, read them.
They appreciate it. Kate Morris says, thank you so much. Linda, thank you, John. Really appreciate this information. Megan, great information. Thank you. And then Melanie, she feels more prepared.
Boy, a whole
Look at
bunch
that,
of
John. Look at that.
Oh, geez, you think I was buying lunch or something?
I know. But no, this was great. I think everyone probably hopefully feels more confident speaking about forbearance. Any other last questions before we wrap it up a little bit early today? Questions in the room? Questions on the Zoom?
I have one last comment. If there's no questions, Corinne, if there's no questions, you tell me. And my last comment is, reach out, before you reach out to your customers, reach out to your top 3 banks and just chat a little bit about forbearance with your banks before you engage your customers. Because if you engage the customer, it'd be better if you said, I just talked with Wells Fargo and I talked with Chase and I talked with US Bank, and here's where their thinking is. So reach the banks first. It's always good to talk to your banker, and then you should be looking pretty good on your reach outs to your clients.
I love it. It's actually a great reason to touch your clients, reach out with some value. So I wanted to introduce Sydney. I just called her up and she said, what am I doing up here? I said, I'm introducing you.
Hello.
Sydney is my new assistant. She is in my office with me, can help me get organized. So come say hello. We swiped her up from John Scott's front desk. And she graduated from Washington State, and we're happy she's here.
Go Cougs.
And yeah, she's helping us get organized and grow. And so we're very happy to have her. So say hello when you see her if you're in the office. So welcome, Sydney.
Yeah, excited to meet everyone. Just pop on by, say hi.
Awesome. Okay, hope everyone has a great day and see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.